Hey guys, and welcome to the Garage Athlete Show. I believe we are on episode 26. I'll have to check that. And I am joined by Rob today. So Rob is the owner of a supplements shop company, whatever, called Football Sports in Manchester. I've known Rob for probably about a year now, followed his company for a little while, and then started buying some supplements. And I'm not being funny when I say the level of customer service and attention to detail was like second to none. So whereas as I have tried a few different supplements and stuff from him, while I probably could have gone onto the internet and got it from different places, I've always returned back to Full Board just because as I said, the quality of the service and stuff that I received. So we asked for him to jump on the podcast today, talk us through kind of like his business, his ethos, and then like the plans for the future. We've had a couple of kit manufacturers and stuff on recently, so we thought we'd have a bit of a change of pace. So great to have you on today, Rob. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself and your business?
Sure. Yeah. No, thanks for inviting me on. And I appreciate your kind words regarding the business. It's always welcome. So, yeah, I mean, we're as a business, like you said, we are a sports nutrition or sports supplementation brand. We've been going around just over 12 months now. Predominantly, we were online and we grew through lockdown. The first one, that is. And then we've recently, beginning of October, opened a shop in a gym in Manchester, which has been really beneficial to us. What we tend to do as a business is that we tend to focus on pure quality of brands. And our approach is to focus on the quality of British independent brands as well. And that's, I think, quite a unique position in the marketplace. I think independent supplement brands, in my opinion, with working with them and seeing what they produce and having run the business for sort of over 12 months, are the best. There's more care that goes into the formulations. There's more detail on sourcing the raws that go into these products. And there's more thought around who's using these products as well, which when you compare, so when I talk about British independent brands, I talk in the likes of Strom, Supplement Needs, Conti Sports, Perform. There's many, HR Labs. There's quite a few, and really, like I said, there's a lot of care that goes into these products. People give a shit, and a lot of the time, when these products are put together, they're specifically for an individual. For example, Rick at Strom, he always comes up with a product when he feels that there's something missing for his routine and his day. So it's a good combination, and I feel the strength of the British supplement market at the minute is huge. So we tend to try and stay in our lane. Not only do the British brand thing well, but also to, like you mentioned before, really focus on the quality, the service, and bring in your products when you absolutely need them. So, my previous sort of job history, if you like, prior to doing this full time, I'm a salesman, software salesman. So I got made redundant. Yeah. Bit of a difference. Yeah. I sort of got made redundant because of Rona. At the beginning of July, I think they gave me a month's notice, and yeah, I just decided, because we put a lot of effort into the business throughout lockdown number one, I just thought, this is so much fun. This is what I want to be doing. Why not just go all in? Yeah. So I just decided to go all in, and touch wood, it seems to be working, and we're having a lot of fun doing it at the same time.
Yeah, I think, as I said before, like, one thing that you notice about these like small independent companies is that attention to detail and that focus on the end user. and it's
Correct.
not just right, a transaction and then they're kind of gone. Like, I know we've had DM conversations like over Instagram. I know you've done the same with like Elliot and stuff, and like just gone that a little bit above and beyond. So rather than going, oh, I'm thinking about trying X, Y, Z, like you'll actually have a conversation with the person, understand what it is that they're looking for, and then give them a personalized recommendation. Like these bigger companies don't do that. They don't have people that can do that. They just spend a shed load on some bodybuilder that's like come first in men's physique, and then they assume, right, because guys using that, everyone's going to go and buy it. But I think the consumer nowadays is getting smarter, and they understand that they can shop around and
100%. And I think yes, exactly that. And I think everybody wants more interaction at a personal level. And one of the reasons I choose to, and one of the things that was really powerful for me as a business owner, is I get to choose to work with who the F I like. Do you know what I mean? So like, you know, there are a couple of British brands who I don't work with, and it's because they clearly don't want to work with me, because they have a standardized approach to what they do, which suggests to me that it's a business that's run on a corporate level, because there's no flexibility. You know, there's minimum this, minimum that. No, we're not prepared to bend or flex those terms. Now, I don't want to work with people who can't bend and flex terms for someone who's just starting out in their business. You know, I've only met one or two like that. Everybody else has bent their terms and conditions, gone out their way to help me because they know I'm a startup. And I think we're definitely on the same level, because again, we're independent brands and we're trying to grow the same. And it just, having that relationship with someone on a similar level makes it a lot more fruitful from what I've experienced. And when you touched, go on.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So when you touched briefly before as well on the sort of sponsored athlete approach and big companies throwing money at big names, we do have a sponsored athlete program, but I spend quite a bit of time with the athletes on that, in how we can add value to their service and to their clients, and how I can add value or they can add value to my business. So it's never a one-way street. It's not right, here's some money or here's some supplements, you need to promote my business, you need to do an Instagram post once a week. It's none of that. It's very much getting down into the detail to the end user. Okay, where are they getting their advice from their supplementation? Well, it's typically the coach. What are we advising them? Are we advising them without a commercial agenda? Yes, absolutely. You know, if they're new into the industry, they're new into the gym, you know, we're not going to bombard them, you know, with, right, you need to take this, that, and the other. You know, get the absolute basics right, which is where, you know, hopefully that comes through as a business of our integrity. You know, we don't want to just flog someone a load of products. It's just not what we do.
Yeah. So as you said, it's that building of that relationship. Like, as you said, if you can, through your sponsored athletes, actually build a relationship with the person, and then you've got somebody who's completely new to the industry, they're probably not going to need a pre-workout like straight away. They're probably not going to need that. like digestive enzymes, all these things like on that next tier up. So it's like for myself, when I take on a client, what I've got like tiers in terms of supplementation. So things like, right, you're trying to build muscle. You might want to look into creatine and probably a little bit of whey protein, because creatine is probably one of the most studied supplements there is out there, and it works. And whey protein, the average person doesn't get enough protein in their diet, and it's just convenience. And the majority of people, like, that might be as deep as they go. They might get a few months into like a dieting phase and that, right, I'm struggling in terms of motivation. Right, have you thought about using a pre-workout? Here's some of the softer ones that aren't going to make you feel like your face is on fire. But by taking that approach, and then you're there and giving that advice, and not just going, right, it's your first day in the gym, you're spending £250 a month on a coach, here's £150 a month worth of supplements to buy as well. Like, I've known coaches in gyms that literally give out cookie cutter programs, and they're like, right, you need to now go and spend, as well as spending money on me as a coach, you now need to go to Holland & Barrett and buy all these supplements as well. And it's kind of one of those things where whether he's getting a kickback from that or not, but you can see through that nowadays. You can see through the people that are getting the kickbacks from recommending kind of all these things. And as I said before, I think the consumer's getting kind of a little bit smarter when it comes to that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, which leads us to, you know, what we must be is transparent and have that level of integrity. Be honest with everybody from day one. You know, not everybody is going to get to a level, well, let's say they just started as a beginner, not everybody's going to get to a level of, you know, it being a lifestyle, like for myself and yourself, you know, with competing. And we have to accept that. So we can't, you know, don't for a minute think that, you know, we should push products onto people for a commercial agenda. The longevity in business is to have that transparency, to have that honesty, and create that relationship with your end client and your athlete to ensure that you know the business is going to last for the future. It might be a slower way of doing it from a sales revenue point of view, but it's the best way of doing it.
And that's just it. It's that longevity factor. Like there's so many of these people that try to get into the supplements industry. It's such a saturated market. And like the only way to stand out now, and I think it's the same in actually personal training, is that integrity. And it is that 100% about the end client and the end result. And it's, I'm not trying to get as much money out of you as quickly as possible and then move on to the next person. It's, okay, you're coming to me with a problem. Let me help you find a solution to that problem. And when you're doing that and you're doing that from a place of genuinely wanting to help that person, I think that comes through. And that's what I was saying in terms of, like, I bought a lot of supplements in my life. I started taking whey protein when I was like 15 and shopped from dozens of different supplement shops, websites, all that kind of stuff. And when I say that, the quality of customer service I received from you guys, even on my first order, like, no, I don't think anywhere in my order I'd put in like my Instagram handle, but I think something happened on my first order. I can't remember what it was. And you just popped up on Instagram and just started having a chat with me. I was like, oh, okay.
I think it was your email address. I think it was your email address. I'd spotted it. And I do try. And one things that I do enjoy is having that contact with customers. I enjoy having those conversations around supplementation and needs. And, you know, I kind of see ourselves as being more solutions based than a sales based supplement. You know, some people come along, they know what they want, they buy it, great. That's sort of 50% of the time. You know, a lot of people come to us with, you know, issues, digestion issues, sleep issues, you know, and it's awesome to be able to recommend and talk to them about the product specifically, why it will help them and what benefits it will bring. And then once they've tried that product, then coming back to us and say, oh my God, it's just changed my life. Literally, you know, it's been a few times where we've sold Dr. Dean's supplement needs sleep stack, and literally we've changed lives with it. And it's, you know, stuff like that is great. So I do try and keep wherever I can, you know, those open lines of conversation with everybody so we can try and get the best advice out there.
And I think because you're an athlete yourself, that comes through because you're utilizing the products, you're utilizing the things, you're not just selling them, you believe in them, or else you wouldn't use them yourself as a bodybuilder. Our art, our craft is our body. Everything that goes inside our body, we have to think about it quite meticulously.
Yes.
Sorry, my dog's trying to get involved. So, like, well, my next question was going to be like, how long have you been like training for bodybuilding? Like, when did that kind of passion for like training and that sort of stuff kind of carry across into, you know what, I want to make a brand out of this. I want to do this better.
Yeah, sure. So I think it was around, must have been about 10 or 11 years ago, I got introduced to the gym by a friend of mine who, he had his own gym, and he did a lot of work for CNP. And we met because I think my wife at the time was working for his wife. Anyway, cut a long story short, he said, look, I've got to do some work backstage with CNP at a couple of shows. Do you fancy coming along? And I was like, yeah, why not? And the first show I went to, I was backstage and I was like, holy shit, I want to look like these guys. This is unbelievable. So it was really from that day where I was just like, right, this is my goal now. Cut a long story short, 5 or 6 years went by and I did a bit of gym work, but not really too much. And then I moved to Manchester about 7 years ago and really started taking it seriously 5 or 6 years ago. So the goal was, right, I'm going to get on the stage, I'm going to compete, and that'll be it. But it's never the once.
So how long did it take from you being introduced to the sport to actually being ready to compete? Because I think that'll be an interesting one, because people think, oh, you can just do it in like 6 months or a year. But actually, it's years of work behind the scene. Like that Instagram stuff you see of the 12-week transformation, what you don't see is the 5 years of work that went into it before that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose it was a 10-year journey. But the first 5 years, I would say there wasn't although there was that initial, damn, I want to look like these guys. It was, damn, I want to look like these guys, but I don't necessarily want to compete. But something changed when I moved to Manchester, because certainly the fitness world, or whatever you want to call it, in Manchester, the bodybuilding world is big.
Oh yeah.
You know, lots of old school bodybuilding gyms. There's a lot of history with some top guys. So I was in the right space and the right environment to be able to take it to that level with the right people around me. So I would say 5 years realistically is how long I've been training for seriously to prep for a show. So yeah, definitely 4 or 5 years work. And when I did compete, I think it was last year, that was just a sort of a test run. And I've chosen to take another 3 years off season before going back and actually competing it with the look that I want to actually bring to the stage, rather than just competing again for the sake of it. So
yeah,
I think
that's a mistake a lot of amateur athletes make, is they get addicted to competing. So they compete every year and keep coming back looking the exact same. Because they're not taking enough time to go away and grow. And
that's
people underestimate how long you need to spend in a calorie surplus to be able to grow a decent amount of muscle tissue. So what weight category is it you want to compete in? Do you want to go into the open, or are you going into a particular weight category?
Yeah, so it was interesting because my first season last year, I was weighing as little as 69 kilos. And I was competing against guys in the novice at Manchester who were 90. So I was in the novice class there, and the 2 other weight classes I was in was under 80 kilos and under 85. So I was dwarfed in every show. So
yeah, I know that feeling. I when I competed, it was about the same weight. And when you just step on stage and somebody's got 5 kilos, 10 kilos more muscle mass than you, there's nothing you can do. You can be as shredded as you want, but
yeah. Well, I was actually quite surprised, because I came in as shredded. I was, without blowing my own trumpet, I was definitely the most conditioned on stage, which is why I was able to place in every show. But the size that I gave away was far too much to even get close to winning. So I'm hoping it would be nice if I could go back to the novice in the PCA Manchester, but I'm not sure, because I got a British invite. I don't think I'll be able to compete again in the novice. So what I've done to play it safe and actually going back to what I want to look like, I want to compete in an open bodybuilding class. And if I'm at a particular weight of around 78 kilos, I should not be too out-muscled in my height to weight class with a bit of luck.
Yeah.
Should be okay. So, thought about it a bit, and thought, yeah, that's the best route to go. So, and it's definitely.
Is the PCA done on like heights then, or are you doing classic, height, or is it?
Yeah, okay. Height. You've got class 3. Is there a class 4? I think I'll be in either class 2 or class 3. I'm kind of hoping class 2, because I'll be the shorter out of. Do you know what I mean? I think it might be 5'7" to 5'10".
Okay.
So if I'm shorter out of them, I'll hopefully look a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that.
And it is one of those things people, again, underestimate. Like, the taller you are, the more muscle you have to kind of look bigger. Like, when you see Mr. Olympia and stuff, like, they're 5'6", 5'7", 5'8". Like, they're carrying like 300 pounds, like 290 pounds, like, on stage. But that's why they look so big, because they're quite short. I remember when I worked at a gym across in Lincoln, I was speaking about like bodybuilding and stuff, and the girl behind the desk was like, "You're a little bit short to be a bodybuilder, aren't you?" I was like, "No, like, I'm 5'7". I'm literally the right height to be a bodybuilder."
It's literally
like,
perfect, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, so how, obviously, as you said, the brand and everything is built up over the lockdowns, with you predominantly being kind of like an online supplier. Like, how have you found training at home? Have you got your own like home setup? Have you been able to cheekily use a gym? Like, what's happened with training?
Yeah, so first lockdown, again, quite lucky. I had access to a gym, so nothing really changed for me. Very fortunately, from a training point of view, what I did do is I trialed a few things with rest and recovery in a new training program, which was really useful because, you know, I sort of got to understand more about my body throughout that time. So, you know, lucky me, I know, got to trial a few things and they were successful, which I took through to, you know, my next sort of block of training, really. And in terms of the business, we did a lot of work trying to organically grow the Instagram page through lives. Lives was a big thing for us, so we would get guests on that were predominantly from the Manchester area who compete. We wanted to provide a platform for people to share their stories of competing. So we did a lot of work on that. We did some YouTube work as well, topics in and around post-show rebounds for ladies. So we got a few of the lady athletes together and competitors, and that sort of did us and stood us in good stead for growing the brand into when the gyms reopened after lockdown 1. And I suppose the passion for wanting to grow the brand sort of came when I really realised that it could work full time.
Yeah.
I thought, hang on a minute, this has got some real legs. Because in the first lockdown I was on furlough, and then once it got made redundant, I just sort of went all in on it. But yeah, it seemed that we had something that people liked, which is always strange. It's like, oh, people like this, really?
It's weird, isn't it, when you own a business? Like, you're almost in a constant state of denial. Like, sometimes you'll have nights where you can't sleep, and you're just going, is this all, am I imagining this? Is this all just going to come crashing down tomorrow? Like, I'm doing what I love. I'm helping people.
I know.
I literally really enjoy my job because I get to go and do what I enjoy and help people every day, and people pay me for it. Like, it's madness.
It is madness, and I still have to, you know, give myself a wobble now and again. And one of the things, you know, I work in a gym now, got a shop in a gym. We record content for the business, which is just us training and doing some educational stuff. And it's like, hang on a minute. Have you heard of the syndrome, imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I think
I feel like that.
Every business owner goes through that stage. So there's like an initial stage where you think you're the dog's bollocks, and then you get further and further into knowing stuff, and you realize, actually, there's so much more that I don't know. And then you go into imposter syndrome, where you're like, actually, I'm starting to see a little bit of success with this. Do I really deserve what it is? And then what you find is you balance out on the other end, and you go, I can't help everyone, but actually, what's the film? There's a film, is it Catch Me If You Can, where you've got Leonardo DiCaprio, and like, he pretends to be like a college professor, and like when they eventually catch him, and they're like, how did you get away with like teaching? He's like teaching like some mad economics course or something. And he just says, I was just one chapter ahead of my students. And I think that's what it's like in life. As long as you're one chapter ahead of the people that you're trying to help, Like you can still provide value because you're able to simplify whatever problems it is that they're having at kind of that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the important things that I've done from the start is I've never professed to be an expert in, you know, all of the supplementation and their formulas, because I'm just not that sciencey. Do you know what I mean? It's simple as that. So it is something that I've spoken about quite a bit, and I'll always remind people that I'm no expert on panels. And if they have questions in and around the formulations, in and around the ingredients, a lot of the time, especially when I first started, and obviously my knowledge has increased now, but when I first started, you know, I had a massive amount of support from Rick at Strom, who was our key supplier, our only supplier for a long time, about how these formulas are put together. How do people do sometimes want to know the science behind every ingredient, and I just don't have those answers. But Rick, because he's started Strom, he formulates everything. He's got a great catalogue of stuff on his website as well that people get referred to. So I was lucky, really lucky to have that level of support, and lucky that Rick wanted to work with me, to be fair.
Well, that's great. Like, I love all the content that Strom put out. You can tell that they've got a similar ethos to yourself, as in they want to help the end user, whether they're a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, kind of whatever it is. Like, and they made products that filled gaps in the market at the time, and then a lot of copycats have come out and
there's been a lot of
copied the formulas, but because Strom did it first, they've got that loyal customer base, and then they work with independent distributors like yourself. You can't just go to Colin de Barrett and get Strom off the shelf. Like, you have to either go directly to them or go to an independent distributor where the guy behind the counter looks like a man mountain, because normally
it's exactly that.
With people who kind of know what they're doing. And I like that. Like, when I used to live in Liverpool, and going into the supplement shop, and you can actually speak to people, and you can speak to somebody who knows what they're on about, rather than just going on the internet and going for the cheapest thing you can find.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the value comes into what we do, without a doubt. I think we referred to it before, more and more people want that interaction. You know, if people can get access to people like Rick on Instagram through a DM or a phone call, and Rick is still that accessible. I mean, the brand is huge. You know, it's all over Europe now, but it's still run very solely with him heading it up, the face of the brand, easily accessible. You know, we can see what he's trying to achieve. We listen to him, and you know, and that's really sort of how I've sort of copied Rick in trying to, you know, build my business, because I looked at him and just went, wow, you know, the business model is phenomenal. Although I will never manufacture products, I will never formulate a thing. It doesn't float my boat. But the fun bit is with people who use the products, and engaging with them, and the training part and everything else that goes with it. So yeah, it's like you said, it's that added value, it's that interaction. And I think it was is it the Arcadia group that have just gone pop, Philip Green, is it Top Shop and stuff? And they did a bit of an analysis on why they believe, you know, they've gone pop, and they compared them to the Boohoos and the Misguided, the online stuff, and they lost their interaction. People want to communicate more with the brands, and they didn't do that. You know, I think they had something like 2,000 followers on TikTok, whereas Misguided had 1.3 million, which just shows a massive, you know, where their priorities are, and they've sort of dragged behind. So yeah, definitely that.
I think the whole lockdown has the evolution that's happened over the last year is what was going to happen over the span of about 10 years. But because we've been forced into it, a lot of these businesses that haven't adapted quickly enough, they're going to disappear off the high street if they've not been quick enough to jump on the social media. Actually, people like interacting with people, not brands. Like your big faceless brands, unless you're something like Disney, that's like a mega that can then just buy these smaller brands that are doing the whole interaction side of it. that you're going to really struggle in this like overly connected world.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And like you said, things have been fast forwarded somewhat. And, you know, e-commerce is where it's at. Online is what everyone is doing. And although I've just opened a shop and it's an opportunity to give us some extra credentials around what we do and a base, which is fantastic. You know, our focus is to grow the business online. You know, you've got the UK to deliver to rather than just Manchester. So, you know, I think it's, you know, anybody who's not on the e-commerce hype is gonna lose out. I think, on social media. Yeah. Right.
Let's jump onto some questions, just because we had a few come through on the group. So
this is where the imposter gets caught out.
Well, I'll help you out as much as I can.
Yeah,
so Jamie Lishman has asked, how important is it to take your protein after your workout? As in, surely as long as I'm hitting my protein, fats and carbs, macros every day, the time frame I take it in shouldn't matter. You've answered your own question there, Jamie.
Yeah, I think if you talk to different people, they'll tell you there's an anabolic window. Some say it's. I grew up being told it was 20 minutes, and that was old school. Right, you got to get this pro recover shake in you within 20 minutes. You won't grow otherwise. I soon found out that wasn't a thing, and it was a sales thing. It was a sales thing.
Yeah, exactly. Getting protein shake in straight away after a workout, it's a habit. So you'll run through your protein powder faster.
Exactly that. Some people say this ideal time is anything between 15 and 45 minutes. I don't really take notice of anything. I tend to, when I'm ready to eat, I eat post-workout. You know, post-workout is an important time. I think it's an important time for all your nutrients because you're replenishing. But I eat when I'm hungry, so my digestion is optimal, in my opinion. And I'm going to use that food. If I try and, because I take an intra-workout shake, I probably take about 50 grams of carbs intra, which is still digesting. It's getting around. I try and finish it 10 minutes before I finish training. That's still there. That's still being digested. If I then go and try and put more food on top of that, it's going to have a negative effect straight away, in my opinion. And then, you know, so I just tend to leave it till I'm hungry.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So for me personally, the first question would be, well, how serious do you take your training? If you're just somebody who just wants to be fit and healthy, like nutrient timing, it's minimal, differences.
Yeah.
If you want to be a competitor, then things like nutrient timing and stuff become more important. And then you want to look at what's it called, peri-workout nutrition. So if you are having some carbs and proteins like an hour before you train, then you're getting something in intra-workout as well, whether it's EAAs, BCAAs, some carbs or things like that. The whole anabolic window thing doesn't really affect it as much. If you're you haven't eaten since so you have your lunch and you train at 5 p.m. and you haven't eaten anything since lunchtime, then you go and absolutely nail a training session, then yes, getting some protein and some carbs into your system as soon as you finish a workout's probably a good idea, but that's because you haven't eaten anything for 5 hours and then you've hammered a training session.
Yeah, and you'll probably be shaking like a shitting dog, won't you?
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever had what's it called? Hypoglycemia when you're at the back end of a heavy leg session? You just
then blood sugars drop and you're just yo, hang on a minute, it's not good.
Get me a biscuit or some Haribo or something.
That's exactly that. Yeah.
Okay, so Simon Randall, animal protein versus vegetable protein. Does it matter where it comes from on a daily basis? Is one better than the other for muscle development? I'm guessing you're not a vegan.
I'm not a vegan, and I think if you look at the studies and the programs and all of those things, to try and get the same quality of protein from a vegan source to a dairy source, you have to consume a hell of a lot more of it, I believe. So yeah, I mean, I always use the I always use the argument for this one. If it's an argument or not, I don't know. But I always look at the top 10 Olympians bodybuilding wise, and I say to myself, are any of them vegans? And none of them are. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, I think that the dairy source is the superior source of protein, 100%.
In terms of vegan, there's one natural vegan like champion. Can't remember what he's I think it was the WMBF. The first, there's one, but that's in like all of history. So it's one of those things where I completely understand if you're being veggie for ethical reasons and whatnot, like you've just got to shop around in terms of kind of your protein sources. Is one better than the other? In terms of, what's the right word for it? If you look, as you said, at Olympians, bodybuilders, things like that, in terms of building muscle, the majority of them eat animal protein. So it's a very, very gray area. However, humans are omnivores. We're designed to eat everything. This is why restrictive diets of certain macronutrients or certain food groups are so detrimental to health, because we're meant to eat from all these different food groups. That's why we stay on top of the food chain. That's my thing on it anyway. It's not always my sister's a vegan, so we have discussions about this like quite a lot.
There's an argument, isn't there? Obviously, I think ultimately it's about how you feel. If you feel better with being vegan or vegetarian or eating cows or whatever, do what makes you feel as good as possible. If you perform better with being a vegan, perfect. Do that.
Yep, definitely. James Crowther, this could be an interesting one, actually. What is the worst tasting supplement you have let past your lips? I had some beef isolate protein that always tasted warm, even with ice cubes in it.
The worst tasting. Now there's a question. So I think probably in the last 4 or 5 years, there hasn't been anything that I've actually tasted that's been bad. I think there's no excuse for bad tasting products these days. Sometimes you can get, the odd ingredient that's hard to mask, let's say in a pre-workout. I know there's a product called Area Durensis, which is horrendous to mask. And I've tasted Area Durensis at its worst, and it is absolutely, it's disgusting. Area Durensis is the one. I think when I first started taking supplements, they were CNP. You've probably heard of CNP, and they're always pretty good tasting products. They were sort of at the top of the game about 10 years ago, but I'm a massive creature of habit. So once I find something that works and I like, I will very rarely be swayed onto something else. It's like if somebody says to me, "Come on, we'll go for a burger." Yeah, we're going to Five Guys. No, we'll go here. No, we're not. We're going to Five Guys. It's like strawberry. Honestly, and like with Strom, that is a brand that I use. I don't use anything else. I use Conti Sports, but I tend not to use anything else in terms of flavors and formulas and everything else. It ticks every box for me. So, but yeah.
What's your favorite Strom flavor then for like pre-workouts?
Pre-workout is the Grape Stimumax Black, absolutely beautiful. Okay. And then the Stimumax Pro Unicorn Piss is a brilliant one.
Yeah.
And then if we're talking protein, the original Raspberry Ripple Velocity Whey, I'm telling you now, you won't beat that. A lot of people like this Perform Whey now, which is great. It's a good product. It's cheap. It's a standard whey concentrate. It has great flavorings. Really nice, but velocity way in terms of quality, mixability with food and drinking. That's my strong plug.
Fair enough.
Anybody like Strom is the one.
I'm just trying to think of now some of the worst taste. The thing is, like, you block those really bad tasting supplements like out of your memory. Like, I think probably the worst things that are like consistently bad are protein bars. Like, you'll take a bite out of a protein bar, and the initial taste is fine, and then you get this weird protein like aftertaste. And it's like, what the fuck is that? Like,
they were so bad. I think I remember once when I first started training, I had some My Protein protein, and I think it had oats in it or something.
Right.
Oh, I tell you what, that never made me shit so much. It was horrible. It was like piss. It was horrible.
It's amazing how you can sometimes take something and literally the world just falls out your arse, doesn't it? I'm sorry to the viewers of this, by the way.
Literally that. And do you know what? The other thing I remember, a guy who I met in Manchester, he was doing, do you remember a company called Juice Plus, or have you heard of a company called Juice?
I've heard of Juice Plus. Oh, don't, like... I've got so many arguments with Juice Plus people because they're like, oh, take this pill. It's got like 40 different fruits and veggies in it. It's like... how much you're charging a month? I could buy fresh vegetables every single day of the week.
Yeah, this is it. They sort of try and get on the convenience hype, don't they? But this guy gave me some protein from Juice Plus, and I tell you what, it was worse than My Protein. It was honestly, my guts were absolutely in bits for days.
What's the daftest scam in the supplement industry?
Yes, Juice Plus.
Ketones, right? We've answered that one. Juice Plus. Juice Plus is
what's the other one as well? There's another one.
Herbalife.
They've been done a few times, haven't they, for their pyramid selling? So they were getting their agents to basically stockpile stock.
Yeah.
Ordering them for it, and it just be sat in their houses, and
pretty much.
I mean, it's just a joke, isn't it? It's just a joke. Any
supplements that are sold via multi-level marketing, like, be very, very skeptical of them, because what you want to do is go and look at the main ingredients, like the first 3 to 4, because there's normally 50 on those labels, which is the first thing. Right. If there's 50 ingredients, half of them probably don't need to be in there. And if you don't understand what they are, they're probably a lot of fillers.
Absolutely.
And 2 is, if you look at the ingredients, look at the first 3, the big ones, and just Google them and see if you could get a similar product for 25, 30, sometimes half the price. I had an old client of mine. She'd got sold these Herbalife things, and she messaged me being like, I've just bought these. What do you think of them? Because she was an old client, I said to her, do you want my honest opinion, or do you want the opinion that's going to make you feel better about what you've just spent like £100 on? And she's like, I want your honest opinion. I was like, you've just pissed that money up the wall. And I just went through, because she sent me the pictures of the labels. I think I put a post out on Instagram being like, don't buy this shit, because there's loads of reps around the area like touting it. But like, I just went in and like, right, so they've got this the 3-tier protein powder, and they've charged you like 60 quid for like I think it was about £40 for like a 1 kilo tub. Okay, here's a 2.5 kilo tub of a fairly reputable brand. So you've got just over double the amount for the same price, and they're having to pay like VAT and stuff. And then the same thing for like, they've got a fat binder in there. I was like, okay, here's one off the shelf for half the price. They had a, what was it? I can't remember what they called it. They gave it some really fancy name, but it was basically a fat burner. And I was like, okay, look at the caffeine content. Yeah, like don't do, if you're not moving, fat burners do call. Like
fat burners don't burn fat unless they're the anabolic ones. Fact.
Yeah, pretty much. And the common ingredient in them is caffeine. So the only time you want to use a fat burner is if you are at the arse end of a prep and you can't basically do a diet break.
And you control yourself. If you can't control yourself, you want your appetite suppressing, then they will assist you in that control.
Exactly. So it gives you the caffeine, gets you the get up and go to move more, because your natural tendency at that point is going to be to move less because your calories are so low and you don't have enough time to be able to bring your calories back up to maintenance for a period of time to let your body recover from that. So the only people that really need to be using fat burners are competitors. Your average person does not need a fat burner. You need a diet break and to hire a good coach.
And a good stairmaster.
The stairmaster, that's the one.
that will absolutely drip the fat off you. Yeah.
Okay, if all three of you got the chance to name your own pre-workout, what would you call it?
That's a good question. What would I call it? I suppose we'd have to. Do you know what?
Sorry, I've just read some of the comments. So Dan, who's obviously my co-host, put Minotaur, Taste the Beast. That's quite a good one.
Yeah.
James put Dragon Spunk. So I'm not really. I was going to go like Fire of the Dragon or something like that, or like Lion Blood or something. But
I like the new Conviction. The new Conviction. That's a good name from Conti Sports, and they've got a new pump pre-workout called Mega Pump, which is just brilliant and original. Yeah. It does actually give you a mega pump, which is cool. No, you got me there. I'd have to.
Think about it. Let's see if we can stick it up as a question box on the Instagram and see what interesting responses we get from it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And Daniel Fraser, is there any exciting subs on the horizon? What do you think of Huel? So that's obviously two different questions.
Okay, so supplements on the horizon. Now, from our business point of view, we are continuing to expand within the brands that we already have. So we spoke before about being, an advocate of British independent brands. We have had a lot of demand for Redcon, a lot of demand from our athletes, and a lot of demand from our customers. So because of the link to British bodybuilding at the moment, with James Hollins spearheading it and being a Redcon athlete, it kind of gives us a little bit more of a justification around stocking the Redcon brand, and it's ultimately about the customers. So you'll see Redcon come to us. You'll all keep,
awesome. I love the Redcon. I love the Redcon brand. I think what they've done with. I followed James probably about 2 or 3 years now since he was on. What was the podcast that they did? The Size Game. So James and Luke and Benji DeMagi. So I started following them just as Luke and Jamie got their pro cards. Yeah. So it's been amazing to watch James, Luke, and Jamie all develop over the past couple of years and be taking British bodybuilding back up to the top tiers.
Definitely, and that's again another good reason for us to support that brand. And although I won't be able to phone up and speak to the owner and have that personal with him, it's everybody's just been asking for us. So what we'll continue to do is develop the supplement needs range as well. The supplement needs for us has been fantastic, and it's very niche. It's very particular with some of their individual lines. Like they'll break everything down, like Alpha GPC and Boswellia. All these little things that they include in some of their bigger health products, they break down and provide them individually. And with us being quite a niche brand, that's going to be, certainly one that will grow. But my advice to anybody who's looking at or wants to see what products are coming out, keep your eye on Strom. Keep your eye on supplement needs. Redcon's definitely a one to keep your eye on as well. But you tend to find that, supplement needs, Strom are brands that are established now and kind of leading the way with formulations like Digest Max has just been released by Strom. It's got 3 different types of probiotic. It's got a fiber blend and it's got 3 digestive enzymes in it, I believe.
Okay.
And the feedback that we've had from people using it absolutely phenomenal. Increased appetite, improved consistency in their poo, which is obviously a good indicator of health with the digestive system. And yeah, just generally, it's been fantastic. I mean, we sold out of it really quickly. So Digest Max is out, and I think Supplement Needs are doing some advanced CV stack to add to their already established health stack that they do, which a lot of the time is designed for people who are assisted athletes. But at the same time, I see more and more people these days, more and more coaches, which is good to see at high level, providing supplementation requirements for their clients, whether they're natural or not. There's supplements like Tudka in there, liver health, all of these. So it's nice to see that coming through. Yeah, definitely for people who want to see what products are coming out, Strom and Supplement Needs are great to keep your eye on.
Yeah, so for me personally, like I take the Supplement Needs, is it the multivitamin with the minerals as well? Just because when I looked at it, I was like, right, I know that they're all clinically dosed. I only need to take one of those a day. Yeah. And then I have a powder, because I'm drinking like 4 liters of water a day. I have like a water-soluble vitamin powder that I add into one of my 2-liter jugs, because then with that being water-soluble, it flushes kind of through the system. And then what is it? The sleep one, the Support Max Neuro. I take that every single night. Quality of my, because I don't struggle with my sleep to the point that some assisted athletes will. And in that case, then I would 100% recommend the Sleep Stack from Dr. Dean. But I find that, the Strom one is more than strong enough for me to help me with what I need support with. Yeah,
Support Max Neuro is probably one of the leading. I mean, it certainly opened up the category for others to follow in that cognitive function, stroke, chilled, stroke, anti-anxiety, stress relief, cortisol management sector, if you want to call it that. Neuro is just an absolute winner. I mean, we've stopped at one other product to sit next to Neuro, but it just doesn't get a look in. Just doesn't get a look in at all. So
one of those, we often get questions on the group of, right, I've just taken this pre-workout and it's like burning my face off. So if you are quite caffeine sensitive, the Strom Support Max Neuro is really, really good to bring you back down after a big caffeine hit, if you're finding you're quite sensitive to it.
Yeah, the other thing is, do you know what? I get this all the time, which is, it does bug me a little bit. People come, I've got this pre-workout, it's great. Why is it great? Oh, my face burns like fuck. Why is it great? Why is that great? Why do you keep using it?
It's because they can feel it. And that's just, they don't understand that they put a shed load of beta-alanine in, which actually the benefits to beta-alanine are lactic acid buffering, but the lactic acid buffering doesn't kick in for like 2 hours after you take it. So the feeling is to give you a feeling, so it feels like it's working. The actual benefits aren't till like much later.
This is it, and I always question because there is a particular brand that people come to me and say, I use this, but it makes my face burn, and I'm like, why do you continue to use it? What other benefits do you feel from that pre-workout during your session? Well, none really. Right, okay, so what do you want from a pre-workout? Why do you actually take it? Ask yourself that. Do you take it because you want an energy boost? Do you take it because you find yourself, you haven't got enough endurance throughout the session? Do you take one because you're tired? Do you take it because you need focus? What is it from a pre-workout that you're looking for? Ask the questions around then what ingredients suit that need. 100%.
Perfect. Right, so I think we've been on for an hour. Wow, that flew by.
Brilliant.
I think that about covers like everything. So, right, where can people find you? Where can they find the business? So, like Instagram, Facebook, website.
Absolutely. So our website is www.fullboarsports.co.uk, and that is spelled FULLBOAR. Full Boar originated from, if you were to look in the dictionary under full bore, it's spelled BORE. It's doing something with maximum effort, but we needed to turn that into a brand. So the boars come into it. That's where so a little bit of a story there for you. And then you can find us on Instagram at Full Boar Sports. Facebook is exactly the same. And yeah, so we are based in Elite Physique in Stockport. For anybody who's in the Greater Manchester area, we're literally just off the M60. Can't remember what junction it is, but we're just off the M60 in Stockport Centre. You can come and see us there. And Elite Physique is a phenomenal old school bodybuilding gym. So if anybody wants to come down and pay us a visit, please feel free to do so.
Well, I think when I compete next year, it's either going to be in the UK DFBA or BNBF in Manchester in, I believe, August.
I went to that show last year, I think. The BNBF.
Yeah, so it depends on what ends up happening, like whether I drive down on the day or whether I got a hotel or stuff the day before. Haven't decided the logistics of it yet, just because.
Awesome.
Whether I'm in condition for that show. But yes, if I'm around, I'll make sure I drop in and see you guys.
Yeah, we'll come and have a watch.
Awesome. Right. Well, it's been great to have a chat to you today. As always, guys, thanks for watching. And we will catch you next week when Dan will be back. He apologizes. He had to take his daughters to a hospital appointment today. So, been great to have you on, mate. And we will.
Lovely. Thanks, mate. See you later.